BCP'S I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be asking about that team in our August 16th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. And with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, we're talking about the Abilene Wylie Bulldogs.
Yeah, and Wylie's coming off their best season as a Class 5A program, went 10-4 last year, made it all the way to the fourth round of the playoffs. Just a really good season. They got 27 of their 60 lettermen back from last year's team, including 5 offensive and 4 defensive starters. But a lot of kids among those 27 lettermen that got valuable time on that team last year. So this should be another good group, should be another interesting season for them. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the keys maybe to achieving their potential here in just a few minutes.
All right, before we do that, we want to remind you folks to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, hit that little bell that'll pop up once you hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get notifications each and every time we have a new podcast here at Big Country Preps.
And with that, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about this Wylie team and some of the questions it faces. And to me, the biggest question is, can this year's team build on the success they had last year? Like I said, 10-4 last year. They won their first district championship as a 5A program. Got really hot after they played a tough non-district schedule, and then got really hot in district play. Played really well through that, and really kind of caught fire. This was a team that really rode a wave of momentum last year. Can they continue that wave into this year? They've got some pieces. The big question is going to be kind of how some of those young guys from the JV team and some guys who were maybe reserves last year step up and kind of help them maintain it. But that is the question: is can they build on the momentum they started last year?
My question for Wylie is, can it cultivate some depth behind its starting offensive and defensive lines? When you're in this kind of district, you're going to get banged up, you're going to get bruised up. Those little bumps and bruises, the injuries will occur, and you have to have some talent cultivated behind that. Right now, that's the key question for Wylie, the depth up front. If they run into injury problems, how can they cultivate these young kids and cultivate some reserves? If they fail at that, we could see a drop off once the injuries hit.
And one thing that made this team really special last year was just the playmaking ability it had offensively, particularly with senior quarterback KJ Long, who was just a dynamic playmaker. He's obviously graduated, but in his place is another really interesting player at the quarterback position, Keegan Anderson, who played a little bit as a freshman at Cooper, transferred last year and had to play all of last year on the JV. He's up now as a junior, expected to take over that quarterback position, and that's going to be a really interesting thing because he's going to step into a situation with a really strong receiving core led by Braden Regala, who was the area's leading receiver last year, and then a couple other guys in Derek Evans and Hunter Hood, who also had big years last year. So I'm interested to see just how good this passing game can be. I think it'll be a little different. KJ Long was a guy that created a lot with his feet. I'm not sure we'll see as much of that this year, but I do think they have an opportunity to be really good in the passing game. My question is what are we going to see from that receiving core? Can they also build on what they did last year and help Keegan Anderson along? Because that's going to be an interesting dynamic of this team as well.
All right, with that, let's take a quick look at Wylie's schedule for 2023. We'll look at the non-district portion first. They open up with Brownwood at home on August 25th. Another home date with Lubbock Monterey on the 1st of September, followed by road dates at Cooper and Stephenville on the 8th and 15th, respectively. And then a game at home with San Angelo Central, a big 6A school, coming in on September 22nd before a road date and then on into district.
Yeah, and that's a really good quality non-district schedule, as we saw last year, that should really help prepare them for district, which opens October 6th after their open date at Plainview. They follow that with a home game against Wichita Falls Rider on the 13th of October, which should be a really big game. That kind of decided the district championship last year, and there's a potential that it could as well this year. October 20th at Lubbock High, then October 27th at home against Paladuro, and then finally they close out their schedule with a rivalry game, November 3rd at Shotwell Stadium against Cooper. That should also be a big one in this district. So should be a really interesting schedule for this Wylie group. They got a really tough non-district schedule that really helped them last year. That leads them into district, where you've got a couple of really big games, both in Abilene. The first one at home on the 13th against Ryder, the last one against Cooper at Shotwell. Two big ones to look forward to.
All right, with that, it's about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Wylie Bulldogs. Before that, we want to remind you that on August 16th, we've got our preseason football preview coming out, which is the most comprehensive look at area football in the big country of any media source in the entire state of Texas. More than 40 team previews for 11-man. We'll have a 6-man preview. We'll have more than 40 player features. We'll have predictions. We'll have stats. We'll have video. We'll have opinion pieces. You name it, we'll have it. It's a ton of stuff. Don't forget to sign up, join up August 16th.
In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow when we will be featuring the Cooper Cougars here at BigCountryPreps.com.